It's time to start looking ahead and preparing our Canvas courses for the next semester. We explore how to import course content and more in another episode of This Week in Canvas. Welcome back to another episode of This Week in Canvas. I'm Pat Cranley, the Distance Education Coordinator at Cosumnes River College. The beginning of our next term is right around the corner, and it's time to start preparing our Canvas courses for the next semester. In addition to copying all of our course content, I also want to show you how to reinstall the CRC Brand Shell, which includes the updated links to our student services and library resources in the new CRC website. Let's take a look. I've gone ahead and opened up Canvas, and I'm ready to start importing all of my course content from my previous semester. And the way that we begin doing that is by traveling down to the very bottom of our course navigation bar into the settings item. Now, once we're in here, we're going to travel to the right-hand side of our screen and choose Import Course Content, which will activate a tool that will allow us to start importing course content from previous semesters or from different Canvas courses. And from the pull-down list, we're going to choose Copy a Canvas course. Now, this is going to scan all of the Canvas courses that are associated with your W number. So if I do a simple search by NM 303, yep, here's the class that I want to start. This is the class from the fall semester that I want to copy over into the spring and choose it. We'll now have two different options for us to import course content into. We can select and choose all the content from the fall semester, or we can pick and choose only specific content that we want to import in. For the time being, I want to hit all content because it's going to illustrate a common problem that we have when transferring files from one semester into another. Let's go ahead and start the import process. It's going to take a long time to do it. This is a big class with a lot of documents and a lot of files, so it's going to just sit here and cook for a bit. I'm going to pause the video for 1 second while this runs in the background, and we'll pick it up once the transfer is complete. Canvas is telling me that the transfer is complete, so let's get some confidence that everything has been shuffled over into this new course shell by traveling over into the modules and just double checking to make sure all the last semester stuff is alive and kicking here in this spring semester course. And looks like everything is in there, which is pretty cool. However, if we begin to examine the course navigation area of our course, we're going to start to see that we have some big time problems that we need to manage and resolve. Specifically, check this out. I'm pulling in SEC Student Services. This link came from my previous semester. I don't want that. In addition, I also have two different instances of our studio tool. We don't want that. And then also, if you're pulling in course content from previous semesters, the CRC library and the CRC Student Services links need to be updated. We've refreshed the CRC website, so all of these links are going to be pointing to the old website, not the new website. So we have a few problems that we need to solve, and I'd like to help you solve them right now. First up, let me reset the course and get things back to the way they were just a moment ago, and I'll show you how to import the course content that solves some of these issues very, very quickly. Okay, so now I've gone in, I've deleted all of the course content that I previously imported, and I want to show you how we can import new course content that resolves some of these problems that we saw just a moment ago. So once again, let's go back down into the settings item and import course content from a previous semester. Same process. I want to choose the import course content option in the right-hand side of the screen. And then once again, we're going to copy a Canvas course. Let me search for it, but this time when I start to work, there it is. I'm going to choose select specific content. Now, it's a little bit confusing because when you click on this little radio button, you're almost expecting to see a whole series of options show up somewhere. Those options aren't going to really appear to you and allow you to select which content you want to import into this instance of your course until you hit this import button. So let's go ahead and import. And then in the current jobs row, way over here, we have the ability to select which content we want to import into our course. Now, some of the link issues that we saw earlier are really just settings that we can enable and disable inside this area. So I'm going to import all my course settings, of course, my syllabus, my modules, my assignments, but I'm not going to import my external tools. Or let me rephrase this. You need to look at what's in your external tools. If you have publisher content or links to external services, just really look at this section. This is 9 times out of 10 where a lot of the problems that we saw in the previous example are going to show up. So I don't want to import all of the SEC student services links. I want to leave that out. So I'm going to disable that here. And of course, you can choose which
which files you want to import, and you have a lot of control over which content is being imported into your course. So let's go ahead and select the content. Once again, it's going to run in the background and import all this information in. So I'll pause the video while Canvas copies all of this information. Okay, it looks like Canvas is done transferring all the information, and if we simply refresh the page here, I'm going to go to the home item inside my course navigation. We can see that once again all the course content's been pulled in, but look what's not there. All of that SCC Student Services links have been removed from the course. Now we have these two problems down here at the bottom that we need to fix. I have two instances of Canvas Studio showing up inside of my course navigation. That's an easy fix. If we go into our settings section and simply travel over into the navigation items, you can see that we have two instances of the exact same tool showing up inside of our course navigation. We don't want one, so I'm going to disable one. And of course, we need to scroll down to the very bottom and save this configuration and then refresh the page. I'm going to go to the home area. And then voila, there it is. Now we only have one instance of Studio. It's right here. Now the last thing that we need to do is get all of the current CRC branding into this course. We want all of our CRC student services and the links to all of our libraries showing up as a tool inside of our course navigation. Now there's a couple different ways that we can go about doing this, but here is the easiest way, and it involves incorporating one of our favorite platforms called Canvas Commons, and it's this item right here. This is our global repository for all things Canvas. This is where you can upload and download shared content from across the entire network. It's pretty cool. So let's go over into Commons real fast. It can be a little overwhelming because there's a lot of content inside of here, but simply we're going to search by CRC Brand Shell. All the DE administrators at CRC have uploaded our brand shell into Canvas Commons. So this is a great place for us to go get all that branding information that includes the current links to the CRC student services and the CRC library right inside of our shell. So let's go ahead and click on it. You can actually get a small little preview. I've added a whole bunch of stuff in here for you to enjoy. We'll take a look at it here in a second. And there's a couple different ways that we can get this new brand shell imported into our course. Now if we travel way over here to the far right hand side of the page, we have import and download. So you have two different options here. You can either import into a current course, or you can download it locally to your machine and then import it through the import tools like we were looking at before. I think just to give us a little bit of a different feel here, let's import it directly into the course that I'm working with, which is called Pat's Playground. So if we scroll down to the bottom of this window, we're going to choose Import into Course. Now, it's going to take a couple minutes for it to do its business, so it's going to have to download this and then upload all this information back into your Canvas course. So I'm just going to give it a couple minutes to cook here. If I choose to go back into my dashboard and find Pat's Playground, here it is. Okay, let's see if it's in here yet. Not yet. It's still working on it. I'm going to pause the video just for 1 second so to give Canvas an opportunity to transfer all this information into our course. Okay, looks like Canvas has finished transferring information from Canvas Commons over here into our current course shell. And if we examine the contents of our course navigation bar, it looks like everything is starting to look really polished. We have the correct links to the CRC library and the new links to the student services section of our new website. We also have one instance of our studio tool, and generally speaking, I'm really pleased with how all this information has been transferred over into this current shell.
If you're working with a course that you've copied over from a previous semester, it is critical that you update the Canvas course navigation links by reinstalling the CRC Brand Shell. We'd like to help you prepare your Canvas courses for the next semester, so please contact the distance education team at CRC with any questions or comments by emailing CRC-DE at crc.losrios.edu or by calling the CRC Campus Helpline. On behalf of the entire distance education team at CRC, thanks for watching another episode of This Week in Canvas. We'll see you next time.